Behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying.
Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to our younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful link out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful link, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Alright, and what I want to get into today, is just the pride, with this generation. You look at, our people, this generation of Israelites, this youth, okay, these young adults, okay, and you see, their pride, is off the charts, because as our people, we can go back, to the 60s and 50s and 70s, and, even the 90s, even Jake was game banging, there was still, when Jake started game banging, there was still some type of integrity, there was still some type of respect for elders, and there was even some type of, respect to the higher power. The hardest nigga in the neighborhood, would turn his music down, and pass the church, even when he came into the church, there was a certain, level of respect and reverence, he would give, even though it wasn't according to knowledge, okay? But you look at this generation, man, it's just off the charts, the pride, all right, the blasphemy, the pure, disrespect, when it comes to the scriptures, when it comes to any authority, okay? Now, this is a trend amongst Jake on TikTok, as if they're, trying to stump the Bible. You got this one Jake, this funny looking nigga. He be on here and he be asking all these questions as if, he has confounded the Bible with his question that he's put on TikTok. Okay? And the reason they can do that because Christianity has been a complete contradiction to the Bible. And Christianity is easy to make mockery out of. Okay? And you can find plenty of contradictions within the doctrine of Christianity. Okay? But as we receive the Holy Spirit, we fully understand that there's no contradictions in the Bible. Okay? And our concept of what's righteous and what's wicked, okay, is now, okay, measured by the scriptures. Okay? And not by the doctrines of men. Now, she's posing this question, which is, let's just read. It says, according to the Bible, God killed 2,400,476,633 people. Now, how did he come up with that number? And this is Jake thinking they so goddamn smart. Okay, now where this number come from? Who knows? Okay, it says people without including the victims of the great flood. Satan, on the other hand, killed 10, but not without the Most High's consent or permission. But Christians really pretend like Satan is the actual villain in the storybook. Okay, and this is just an example of Jake trying to be deep but dumb as hell, man. Okay, where did these numbers come from and what the hell are you talking about? Okay, that the Most High killed, 2.4 million people, but Satan only killed 10, but not without the Most High's consent or permission. What are you talking about? Okay, so let's go here and see. That's another thing too. This society, and that goes into Satanism, that Luciferian doctrine. Where Satan is the hero and the Most High is the villain. It goes back to that as well. Now, because this is a satanic society, man. All right, but when you go here, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 30, and verse 12. It says, "There's a generation that are pure in their own eyes, and yet is not washed from their filthiness." Okay, because there's a lot of people that think they got it figured out, think they deep, think they found some type of righteousness beyond the Bible. Okay, because these people that ask these questions and call themselves trying to stomp the Bible, they really think they own to something. Like they, part of some type of righteous movement. Okay, they're pure in their own eyes, but they're filthy as hell, man. Okay, filthy as hell. Verse 13, it said, "There's a generation, oh, how lofty are their eyes." Proud, man. Speak against the Bible and don't blink. And that's how you know this is a generation in which the Lord has to show himself. He has to show power. The Lord has to make a statement with judgment with this generation. Ain't no doubt about it. All right, so there's a generation, oh, how lofty are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up, man. That very proud look, man. Okay, and you can just look. That proud look. You see? That's dumb music. It's just that proud look. Okay, and that's one of the things that the Lord hates, man. Of people that don't have nothing, don't know nothing, don't understand how nothing works. The most lost people, the most degenerate, destroyed people on the earth, but they have this proud look, man. Okay, and the Lord finna address that. That's why it's gonna be such hard times. Okay, on the earth, especially here in America, because this is the most proud looking people on the earth is Americans, man. And that's of all nations, man, including 2/3 and these heathens. Okay, the most proud look is right here in America, man. So when you let's go here, because the Lord called this place. Let me see. This is Jeremiah 50. The Lord finna visit this. The Lord finna visit this pride and all these questions. Okay, all questions finna be answered with judgment, man. Okay, Jeremiah 50 and 31. It says, "Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud." And this talking about Babylon and the inhabitants of Babylon. Babylon itself, America has a very proud. It's the most proud country in the earth. Okay, and the pride is made up of what? Of his people. "Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, said the Lord power of hosts. For thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee." So the Lord's finna visit this place, man. You see all these stupid questions, these proud looks. Think you're gonna stomp the Bible and think you're doing something cute for the internet. Okay, think you got it figured out like you own something. Okay. Nah, man, there's finna be a visitation for the most proud, man. Okay. It says, "Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud." And the Lord's finna show that he's against this place, man. That's why it's just gonna get worse and worse and worse and worse. Okay, this is a very proud society, man. Okay, this is an extremely proud society. Okay, and you, Jace, have jumped on the front line of pride and rebellion against your own power, man. Okay, it says, Thou most prize, said the Lord power of hosts, for the day is come, the time that I will visit thee. Okay, the time where the Lord is going to visit thee. You read this in the NLT. It says, see, I am your enemy, you arrogant people, says the Lord of heaven's armies. Your day of reckoning has arrived, the day when I will punish you, man. And these are the times that we're coming into, man. Okay, and a bunch of you simple niggas and you simple nigga women just getting on here saying whatever, doing whatever, okay, to be popular, try to be cute or whatever, be trending, and there's a lot of people that just racking up judgment, trying to go viral, man, saying the darnest things and doing the damnedest things, man. Okay, so let's go from there. But there's no doubt, that this is that generation, okay, in which the Lord has judgment reserved for. Okay, this that generation, man. Jeremiah 7 and I started at 25. It says, matter of fact, I started at 20. Started at 23, Jeremiah 7 and 23. It said, but this thing commanded I them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your power, and ye shall be my people, and walk ye in the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well unto you. So the Lord set it up, for us to be obedient, and we will win. Jake is trying to go into the Bible, and the Most High killed this many million, man. Satan only did this, and how Satan the villain sees Jake missing the whole point. Okay? The Most High controls everything, man. Satan is under the Most High. Okay? Yahweh Shai, the only begotten Son. Okay? That's the top angel on the right hand side. Satan is an angel on the left hand side. Okay? Jake trying to be deep and go into this and question everything. And all we had to do is obey as a people, man. We serve a righteous power, man. You look at creation. You look at life, you look at wisdom, man. We serve a righteous power. See, our people don't know the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's why they question him so much. Because if they really knew Yahweh Bashim Shai, okay, they wouldn't have these questions, man. And the prophets have been raised up, okay, to give our people, to feed our people with understanding. Okay, but the majority of our people, they reject the prophets because, they've been taught to look at Israelite male authority as a joke. Okay, and the Lord did that. He set it up to have this wisdom, this ministry go through the prophets, men of low standing in this society, to test Israel's integrity, man. Okay, and a lot of Jake is failing the integrity test, man. And it said, verse 24, but they hearkened not, nor inclined their ear, or walked in the counsels and the imagination of their evil heart, and went backward and not forward, man. So we're just seeing Jake, double down on doing their own thing, and it's getting worse and worse. Each generation, all right, is taking, is getting worse. Each generation is getting worse, and it's taking a step backwards from the Most High and a step closer to Satan. Nigga culture is very satanic, man. Nigga culture is very dark. The black community has the right name, man. It's a very dark community, man. What they own now, like what Jake is on, and like all this little freaking, like Jake is on some whole other, tip, man. It's some things that's normal that was unheard of, man, when we was coming up. That's the normal now. Okay? So as they pulled away from any form of righteousness, okay, they rejected the ministry of the prophets. Okay, Jake is just going further into darkness, man. Okay? It says, since the day that their fathers came out of Egypt, out of the land of Egypt unto this day, I have even sent unto you all the servants, the prophets, daily, rising up early and sending them. Okay? So ever since the time of Egypt, man, the Lord has been sending prophets to this same generation of Israelites, man. Okay, constantly sending, constantly sending the prophets. But there's always a generation that was meant to be rebellious, man. Okay, all they know how to do is rebel. Okay, and with this judgment that the Lord finna send, this gonna fix all that rebellion once and for all. Okay, it says, yet they hearken not unto me, nor incline their ear, but harden their neck. They did worse than their fathers. It's the worst generation yet. The Lord has allowed this generation to get completely out of pocket, man. So he can come and be justified with the judgment that he's going to bring. Okay? It said, therefore thou shalt speak all these words unto them, but they will not hearken to thee. Thou shalt also call unto them, but they will not answer. So we don't marvel when our people don't get it. Because if we wasn't told these things, we'll bug ourselves out why Jake don't want to accept the good news. This is nothing but good news, man. Even in tribulation, we'll promise that he's going to get us through it, and we'll promise miracles, man. We'll promise spiritual power in the tribulation. Even if we have to take, the death, man, we'll promise immortality still, a victory still. Okay? So if we wasn't told these things about Jake, just wouldn't listen, we will marvel, man. We will be bugging out like, why Jake don't get it? We will be, frustrated, man. We couldn't get nothing done. But the Lord constantly tells us, look, these niggas not gonna listen. So we don't marvel at the stiff neck and the hard headedness of Jake, man. It says, but thou shalt say unto them, this is a nation that obeyeth not the voice of the Lord in power, nor receiveth correction. Truth is perished and cut off from their mouth, man. So the Lord, he raised up his prophets to warn Jake, and also tell Jake about themselves too, man. Shake the hand at these niggas too, man. You see, verse 29 said, cut off thine hair, O Jerusalem, and cast it away, and take up lamentation on high places, for the Lord hath rejected and forsaken the generation of his wrath, man. So the Lord have rejected and forsaken the generation of his wrath, and this is that generation, ain't no doubt, man. So that's the point, Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified once again. I'm gonna give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful. Shalom.